Trump is down at Alligator Alcatraz right now, crashing out on Elon Musk. Is this what's causing Bitcoin short-term dump? Are we just setting in another level of support before moving on up to the upside? Looking at a long that we just put in right before the stream go live. So we'll see how that ends up going. Mr. Isaac on the wings, back there in the office. How you doing, Mr.
Sure. I'm doing pretty good. Crashed out a little earlier. I'm not gonna get into it, but
It's
it's off my chest now, so I'm ready to have a great show. How you doing, though, Drew?
I can't complain, man. I got the birds chirping, the sun is out. I'm in Colorado for the time being, hanging out with the fam. Just living life. LIVIN, man. That's what's up. And welcome to the show, everyone. That guy, we got Psychedelic Astronaut, Mountain Magnets. Thank you for the view shot. I wish it was a little bit higher. I got the mountains behind me. It's real nice out here. Alexander G, Hippie Holder, and DOD Slave. Welcome to the show, guys. It's been a little bit of a chaotic morning. Make sure to follow me on X here. I am at Druth Crypto. You can give me a follow there. Now, this massive market movement, we'll get into all the reasons why and all the news going on, but it has been pretty sharp downturn. We had, and I was snooping around for a long at like this 106.5 spot, 106.4 little POC and kind of volume node we were looking at. We lost that. So I got stopped out of it. Had to look a little bit lower. But a nice reset in general. In my opinion, I'm feeling good about going back into longing, trade longing Bitcoin. I'm liking that the 4-hour MACD has reset to the bottom end here. Now I'm starting to look at this main POC for this range, which I talked about a long time ago. It's at 105.5. It did seem to hold up pretty darn well to that price action. You can see that price action came right down to the POC. So I was able to snoop around, get another trade in. We'll see if it ends up going well. Right now, we're slightly up, just a little like maybe 1 or 2%. We'll keep an eye on this as we go through the show. But man, it has been crazy out there. Make sure you guys are following us. Give us a subscription here. Mike, I saw you're up here in Loveland. I'm up in it's like Thornton, Fort Lupton-ish area. I'm in the boonies right now. It's a great time being had. Now, Isaac, you remember when Elon Musk and Donald Trump crashed out on each other last?
Yeah, it was with the whole list thing.
Yes, the Epstein list. And you know what? We never got clarification of that. What is clear is that it affected the markets pretty hard when it happened. That was June 5th. Now, I want to hop on over to Bitcoin and just take a look at what that ended up playing into on June 5th, because I remember when mom and dad fight, Elon Musk and Trump, it affects the markets faux show. That's here. So June 5th, right about here. And that's quite a candle. It was a fall down moment of about 5%. We went to the bottom end of this wick and just the kind of the stronger points of support in this current range, and then rebounded here. So this wick, this moment of this spat, a little bit less, but there's a lot going on. The Senate is voting, and actually just right before we went live, voted on the big, beautiful bill, which is quite contentious. There's a lot of people that argue it's good. There's a lot of people that argue it's bad. I do want to know in the comments, are you for or against the big, beautiful bill? It does increase spending to a large degree, but accomplishes a lot of what Republican ticket items were set out to be increased on ICE and, different funding for our organizations that are trying to lock up the border, shut down the border. There's a lot of bad with the continuous spending. And Elon Musk is seemingly, kind of crashing out this morning a little bit about it. Okay, so we're going to have to take a look at that. I will hop on over here to my bookmarks here, because right before we went live, there was a couple things that was breaking. So officially, right before we went live, the U.S. Senate has passed the tax and spending cuts bill. It was 51-50. This is voting on the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. 51-50 was the official vote count, and it turns out that Vice President Vance played a pretty integral role in passing this. Let's have a listen to this.
On this vote, the yeas are 50, the nays are 50. The Senate being evenly divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative. The bill as amended is passed.
So it looks like JD Vance had the deciding vote there. This is a very, very interesting, to think about from an investment standpoint. There's a couple things that happened that, in my opinion, kind of kick-started this Elon Musk Trump crash out. These are my own personal opinions, but we remember the Epstein tweet from Elon Musk about Trump being on that list. It came out June 5th. And a few weeks before that, attention really had shifted out of Department of Government Efficiency and all these things that Elon Musk was doing to make the government leaner, make the government have a chance at not, defaulting essentially. And now this morning, instead, I see posts coming out of Elon Musk late last night. When are they going to flatten this curve? This is the U.S. national debt. And this doesn't even go to where we currently are in 2025, where it's actually even sharper and flatter of a curve. I guess it's flat if you turn it sideways. It's starting to turn into a table, just going one direction. But we saw that there was no interest, seemingly, from the Senate, Congress in actually tackling the massive amount of fraud the Department of Government Efficiency had found. And so with this has kind of cascaded into Trump now threatening Elon Musk's subsidies after Musk once again targets Trump's massive budget bill, which again we just covered, just passed. All right, but this has been kind of a slow deterioration of relationships between Trump and Elon Musk. Let's read through this just to get the timeline solid for everyone that is absorbing this context in greater. I do want to preface this. We're going to talk about this timeline, but while this whole crash out has been going on over the big bill, we've also had the Genius Act passed, one of the most monumental changes to monetary policy in the United States that we've seen in decades. I would argue it's one of the bigger moves that when we're looking back 10, 20, 30 years from now, the Genius Act that just got passed is monumental for the ability for the Treasury to start printing in their own regard, using stable coins to buy Treasury bills. Highbrow shit. You heard it here first. Let's get into this story. President Trump once again targeted former close aide Elon Musk early Tuesday, attacking the amount of government subsidies Musk is receiving after the tech billionaire and the world's richest person renewed his criticism over the flagship spending bill sponsored by Trump. Elon may get more subsidy than any human in history by far, Trump said on Truth Social platform. God, Truth Social really has been rocking the markets lately. Every time you see some crazy unhinged thing that Trump is saying on Truth Social, that is a great trade signal, either north or south, depending on the sentiment. Now, what we see, without these subsidies, Elon would probably have to close up shop and head back home to South Africa. President also suggested that his Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, which Elon Musk started up and kind of came up with a concept for, he's stepping down from the Department of Government Efficiency in May. And you know what? The Department of Government Efficiency could actually set its sights on SpaceX founder's business interest, Elon Musk, flipping the table on Elon Musk, using it against him. Absolutely unhinged. No more rocket launches, satellites, or electric car production, and our country would save a fortune, says Trump. Perhaps we should have Doge take a good hard look at this. Big money to be saved. So honestly, a pretty serious spat between two integral figures. In Isaac, you watched the election from a young man's standpoint. I understand. You're like 17, 18. You're watching these boomers fight over politics. You're like, you're probably looking at us all like we're total idiots. Now that we've seen, so in your opinion, was Elon Musk integral to Trump's popularity with the younger person culture, do you think? Did he help him a lot in that regard?
I don't think Elon helped Trump at all with trying to capture the younger audience. I think that was just kind of the younger audience. We're kind of split in the middle right now. Like my Gen Z or whatever is kind of split between, we have, I guess, perfectly 50-50. Half of us are like on the liberal side, half of us are on the conservative side.
Right.
And we saw that split actually during this election when it was Kamala versus Trump. So I don't think Elon had anything really to do with it. I think it was just some of us woke up and the other of us stayed in their little psyop.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's something in my mind that's like, now we talk about wanting to advance American infrastructure and really make America, competitive on a manufacturing side. We want to make sure that dollar dominance remains strong. We want to back the currency with something stronger. The technological advancement side, I see Elon is pretty integral to American industry in terms of SpaceX, what they've been able to accomplish in terms of its public, contracts and work that it does within micro tunneling and our tunneling, our aspirations in terms of infrastructure upgrades are pretty tied to the hip to Elon Musk. It is interesting watching this spat unroll once again. Musk has suggested starting a new political party that could actually care about the people on Monday. Yeah, he floated this idea earlier this month, said if the bill passes, a new political party, which he calls the America Party, will be formed the next day. Well, I guess today has got to be that day where we got to form a whole new political party, the America Party.
I want to bring this up real quick. Papa Guth said that Elon was a publicity stunt, but you know who else was a publicity stunt? Kamala on Oprah's show, Beyonce, and all that other stuff. I mean, I guess they both had their little both had their different sides of having people on.
Dude, Trump had like a show, right?
Yeah, he had Hulk Hogan on there. He's like ripping his shirt off and shit.
Yeah, I mean, Trump's been a media figure for quite some time. He knows how to play the media very, very well in the positive and negative fashion. And at the end of the day, this Trump highlighting he's hoping to seal his legacy with this big, beautiful bill, which would extend his expiring first-term tax cuts at a cost of $4.5 trillion and beef up border security. I think the real talk here is that the long-term effects of this on the overall budget is going to raise it by about 7 to 8 trillion if you add in all the different programs. And there is a huge degree of question to be brought up about how much of that spending is really done just to fraudulent forms of, people that have figured out that the system's just going to dole out U.S. aid money, Medicaid incentives, things of that nature. So this is we're kind of going into the great unknown here. Things are being broken at a pretty fast pace. And Elon, he's been taking to Twitter. This is his tweet where he's talking about this America Party. It does get aggravating that we as a country have just two dominating political factions and end up with, either a shit sandwich or a turd burrito, basically every election. Trump is better than either one of those, in my opinion, just because of how disruptive he is. But, something on the long term for this is that there is no real plan within the United States government to stop the design of our monetary system as it is. They're going to find different ways where they can exploit our system where they can. And I think that where we're seeing the first of that exploitation is in the stablecoin industry. That's where Scott Bessent, the currency general, comes in. And I just had to dive in. I know that this is very dense content, but I feel that there is a lot of lost final understanding of the context of what's going on right now. We have our debts going parabolic. We have to find new ways, new mechanisms to keep the fiat Ponzi scheme going. They see this outlook of long-term backing of the US dollar with Bitcoin. Okay, great. But you know what? How do we get there in the interim? It's by the Treasury realizing they can go in God mode on these stable coins, create notes of stable coins that buy the Treasury bonds and keep the fiat Ponzi scheme going regardless. Oh my God. Isaac's drill instructor is a graphene whale. What would you do?
So I'm the graphene whale. So I'm the drill
You're
sergeant.
the
So
old graphene
I'm gonna beat myself.
Oh my
Now, if
God.
my just say that would be funny though. My drill sergeant has his biggest holding in graphene.
Yeah.
And he knows I got him into that. I'm cooked. I'm dead. He's gonna kill me.
Okay.
Forget me making it through.
The Solana situation we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the alts, the Solana situation. I think I found a key. I think I found a key to making alt season actually happen. Bad Fox, don't worry about me. That trade absolutely crushed it. And honestly, I should have left the Solana short open just because, oh my God, that was just, we're going to look at that altcoin here in a second. We're talking about macro, but I'll get into that. I found the key to starting alt season, and it comes through Voodoo. Now, this is Donald Trump talking about this big, beautiful bill and its play into Medicaid. There's been a lot of questions about his intentions with Medicaid. Let's have a listen to this.
You heard the concerns about the Medicaid, though.
No, we're not going to be fine with that.
It is 11.8 million Americans.
Yeah, the Democrats have it wrong. Waste, fraud, and abuse. In fact, if you look at what's going on, we've gone way back. We take care of Medicaid, we take care of Medicare. They will blow Medicare and Medicaid because they have no idea what they're doing.
So he's saying it's going to be great. We're not going to be playing with Medicaid, only waste, fraud, and abuse. I think what he's more than likely highlighting is what I was alluding to when I was starting to talk about this, is that there's a lot of wasted money. There's a lot of, extensions and essentially taking advantage of the system as it sat, where they could trim up the fat with this bill. Medicaid at large, I know that there's a lot of Americans are like really beholden to the Medicaid setup. They set up their amount of money that they're willing to make to stay within a certain pay bracket to receive those benefits. This is where it's such a 20-headed Hydra conversation, which is pretty null and void when you have 30 million people come across the border without documentation in a short amount of time. It makes it very, very difficult to do true budgetary analysis when you have millions of people influxing into your country and you have they're not on the budget book. They're not on the expectation expenditure list. And so, coming out with that number is kind of difficult without actually getting control of the border. So it is a tough situation. What I know is that the spending bill, the big, beautiful bill, it will increase the debt load. But this is in general why we Bitcoin. Isaac, this is the undertone. You can understand things are so jacked up macroeconomically, but knowing how to just retain your buying power simplifies things. This is a large reason why I was saving that for later. This is a large reason why I Bitcoin. It's just they constantly have new ways of scamming the American people and keeping our eyes asleep to the fact that they're literally just printing our futures away. The retirement funds, I think as long as we are in the S&P 500, the S&P 500 is closing at new highs. We had that happen right before we kicked off this, trading session today. And I think as long as people really realize where the long term of this is, that there is no one coming to save us. There is no political figure coming to save us. It's literally the design of the central bank to take that value from us. Absolutely crazy. Isaac, did you not let the government load you up with that? Oh God.
Don't worry. I wasn't planning on letting them give you many vaccines.
There's so many concerns for me. I feel like,
Yeah.
You're gonna be great though.
If they try the COVID vaccine, I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna fight you. It's all hands from there.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
It's gonna be
I don't know, Isaac. Might get weird. You know what else is getting weird? Netanyahu's gonna be at the White House here in a few days. Netanyahu is coming to the White House July 7th. I'll be back in Georgia by that time. So honestly, this is going to be a news conference worth covering on this channel. I think that this is a news conference worth covering on really any, economic standpoint. This is going to shake things up because what we're talking about here is a conversation between Israel's leadership, Netanyahu, and Trump's leadership here in the United States. And these two individuals still have a lingering conflict going on the border of Israel with the Gaza situation that has not been resolved. It's been kind of forgotten about with all the, different macro news events that have been going on for sure. But it is a situation to keep an eye on. I don't think any further negativity about the situation has the power to push the markets down even further than where they already are. But if we see a positive outlook on, their ability to come to a resolution in that location, I think that'll be pretty positive for the markets. That's just my personal take. Do you think they're going to settle? It's like, what's the deal with the guy? You're about to go into the military.
World War III before my birthday.
No, whatever. So you don't think things have been calmed down in the matter of a 12-day time frame?
Right now, it's been pretty calm. The first day, though, was not calm. Because as soon as they started the ceasefire, Israel thought it was a funny idea to break that real quick.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And you will see those breaks. I mean, the large media contention is like, okay, calm is here. We can get back to work here. Yeah. That's a question to ask yourself, as you're getting into this. And we also saw, here in the US, just in terms of, their Bitcoin legislator, state, Connecticut, US state here, officially banning the state from creating a Bitcoin reserve or investing in any digital asset. Retard finder right under there. Retard state of the day, Connecticut. So the Connecticut won retard state of the day. I don't know. That's probably got to be pretty offensive to Taco. You know what I mean?
Probably.
That's got to be pretty offensive to Taco. And just so you guys know, I am in danger from retard finder. They do indeed follow me. So that might be an issue later on. As soon as that
popped up, you're cooked.
Yeah. Now, in terms of other things, Bitcoin, this is Michael Saylor talking about we must end the unfair taxes and the tax burden on Bitcoin miners in the United States if we're going to be the world's top Bitcoin superpower. This will be interesting to see if there's massive tax incentives rolled out. It seems like an easy win. If I was the president of the US and I wanted to win in terms of Bitcoin mining and the hash power, I think that this would be a pretty reasonable move. Isaac, shoot from the hip. So you think that they're going to cook the books and make it a nice, easy tax environment for Bitcoin miners so that they can?
No.
You don't think so?
I mean, there's, again, it's like my thing from earlier. Like it's split right in the middle. Half of the people are going to be pushing for that, tax incentive for Bitcoin miners, and then there's going to be people like the IRS and the government that are going to tax the shit out of it.
Yeah.
So they're always going to try to cook the books in some sort of way. You've seen it time and time again. So why would that change right now?
So I think you're nice and jaded. You're like you've been seasoned. You're seasoned, and now you're like at a perfect jaded level for I think reality here. I like it. I like it. All right, now USDC. USDC is one of the larger stable coins out there. Circle behind it. It is not the size of Tether in terms of market cap, market use, but it is larger, in my opinion, in terms of regulatory clarity and outlook. And now USDC Issuer Circle has applied for its own National Trust Bank license here in the United States. I have to say that they're going to get this. I do actually think that Circle, and this is where that conversation of how foaming at the mouth the Treasury is over this stablecoin setup is because it can continue the fiat Ponzi scheme. They can back fiat Ponzi with stable coins and just kick the can that much further down the road with this. I do think that this National Trust Bank licensure will go through for Circle. And, in the one hand, it's bearish for me in the sense that crypto isn't necessarily coming out of, the inception of it and solving the problems of the system. It is being adopted and kind of hybridized into the existing setup. So we're not solving the big issue with monetary policy. I can say that, but I can say that the number will go up. So there is that. And, that's just my personal opinion, of course. I'm not a financial advisor, but seeing all of these things essentially lock hands and walk in tandem with each other. I'm talking about the existing monetary system with Bitcoin reserves on a federal level being worked towards. Doesn't mean that we're going to get them. It means that they're talking about them, and that this kind of speculation, this gray zone that we're in, is going to create some pretty interesting price movements for Bitcoin, for crypto in general. And really where I see things happening on a grander scale is this Circle integration. With Circle, we probably are looking at some form of the future CBDC that we've talked about forever, the central bank digital currency. I do want to go check out where coins or Circle's stock price is today as well. This is one I'm having to keep a close eye on here. All right. Circle, these are daily candles breaking down. It hasn't quite broken down to that 168, 150 shelf, which is an interesting level, but it is looking like it's taken a little bit of a break. And the reason why I'm tracking this is not because it's an asset that's currently in my portfolio, but it is one that I very much so want to add to my exposure. You know, I really, really think that this is something that is going to be a much bigger conversation than we ever really could have imagined 10, 20 years from now. And this might be one of those stocks, like if grandpa would have just held on to those Coca-Cola, you know, notes from the early 1900s. This could be a stock of that same degree. If they completely find a way around the Federal Reserve in terms of being able to print, and the Treasury is able to work with this new bank trust, this national bank trust that Circle's trying to get approved for right now, this could be, you know, a multi-trillion-dollar mover right here like this. So I am watching this, you know, and obviously we are bouncing. This doesn't look like that bad of a shelf being developed right now for Circle at the 161, 170 mark. Got to keep an eye on this. Also, let's go check out the trade here. Let's go check out where we're at in terms of this. We're doing fine. Things are getting tight like a tiger on the MACD. I like seeing that coiling up, trying to move. We're zoomed in right now. We're heavily zoomed in. This is the 15-minute. Pull that back. We're starting to cross on these moving averages. Looking good there. Okay, we might have done it again today. Isaac, how stupid would that be? How many?
Made
what
it
is
out of
that?
this?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, God, I mean, we're on like a 10 working day streak of hitting the market the right direction. So, you know, when you get to that level, you're like, God, I gotta keep the streak going here. Let's go to this bad boy. We got that green dot printed on the 15. Things are actually looking nice and reset. Things are looking pretty uppity. Things are looking a little, and you know what? That's my new favorite word, uppity. Right there. Not even sorry about it. Bouncing off this old school line. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. Okay. Well, we're in it. We're in it to win it, folks. We'll see if this trade holds while I'm yapping about the rest of the news. I'm going to be taking a look at the altcoin market as well. Altcoins are a realm of sadness. Okay, I will say this. So we saw yesterday Solana, and there's a lot of conversation like the Solana ETF might actually be set to go live on Wednesday. But, you know, on the announcements of these Solana ETFs, we had a great push up on Solana for a very short moment of time. So yesterday, we pumped real hard off of the Solana Hopium tweets. Now, let's check it out here. That series of tweets pumped Solana by about just under 6%. And I have the opinion that we just can't have nice things in altcoins currently. I shorted this thing. Short was around $157.50. So I got out of the trade at about 153, right at this dump point. Because this is all I was wanting, is just a little bit of a pullback, come back down and try to keep that bullish momentum by bouncing off the top end of these previous, you know, short-term range highs. And instead, Solana just kept puking. I could have left this open all night, but I like sleep. Absolutely just insane to see this completely reset. Now honestly, like Solana, you know, Cardano, all of these tokens, what my mode of operation is any short-term pump on these things, I'm trying out a short. And the more I short altcoins, and if I see a lot of people shorting altcoins, then the market makers will have to move against us and they'll have to pump the altcoin bags, and then I'll win on my spot bags. Until further notice, though, I can print more tether off of just shorting these, you know, hopium pumps that I see. I mean, this lost more than it gained yesterday off those ETF pumps today. Now, we do have to keep in mind we are going live, it looks like, with the Solana ETF pretty soon. And this has a general bullish structure for me, as long as we're still riding above this 126 mark. But things are starting to get a little hairy. Things are starting to get a little hairy on Solana. It is below the 200-day moving average on the daily. It has not recaptured this 200-day moving average, which is currently sitting at about $166. There's a lot of things to be desired if you're a buyer of Solana above $200 right now. Man, why does it look like snow behind me? It's very bright. It's very, very bright behind me. I kind of like how bright it is. So this is in aggregate, I feel like there's going to be months where alts like Solana, like the Swees, they really, really start to hit their stride. Solana is trying to create quite a bit of volume between this 130 mark up to about $170. But I'm just trying to keep my emotions in check. There's one part about, trading crypto that's emotional when you believe in a project. And where we're at right now, it's like we're being punished for holding things that are highly disruptive. I think that, one of the things that I was wandering around and, kind of just digesting where we are in crypto right now. Altcoins are probably some of the most disruptive products on the planet. And with that disruptive nature that they bring, they're going up against institutions that have been around for decades, if not centuries. Real estate industry, data control, all of that stuff has been a huge industry and a lockdown on those industries for quite some time. Altcoins are trying to fix that. So I think that there's going to be a lot of psyop, a lot of market manipulation, a lot of pain caused to altcoin holders to get them to get rid of good projects that actually have real world utility. I think the more of us they can get off the ship before these things get integrated, the better for the markets and the powers that be. So in that mindset, actively trading is really helping out the situation as I sit here waiting for that moment where the system realizes you join them or you get eviscerated. Real estate industry, the middleman market of it, 50 years from now, in my opinion, won't even exist. I don't even think that real estate agent systems are going to have a use case. So where I'm at is, okay, I understand that algorithms are taking over and have been in control of trading for quite some time. They move off of basic market movements, and we can read the macroeconomic environment to pretty much assume where things are going. And where I can assume things are going from here is the debt ceiling is going to continue to be increased. The monetary supply is going to continue to be increased. Bitcoin is going to continue to swallow all financial instruments in existence. All things are going to zero against Bitcoin, in my opinion, or to a fraction of a Bitcoin, not to full zero. You can always go lower. But realizing these things, I hold altcoins that I have extremely high conviction in. I trade Bitcoin, I hold Bitcoin. It's the long-term holder, and I'm actively out there fighting for more Bitcoin with these trades day to day. And if I can come out here and earn, 0.5%, 1% of Bitcoin a day, I am a winner. And, getting involved in trading DeFi, it's how we can start to actually flip the script and getting this damn system of money to start working for us. This is where we have to shift our mindsets. Things are going to get weird over the next, 20, 50 years. We're going to see technological advancements we can't even dream of right now. We're going to see situations where, the way that we used to make money no longer exists. It takes a year for it to happen, and we have to find new ways to make money. This is why I Bitcoin, and this is why I'm so hardcore about figuring out the general vibrational flow of Bitcoin trading, because these are algorithms trading against each other. They're all riding off of the same moving averages. And in general, outside of a mean tweet, things tend to move in terms of the trend is your friend, but there is an end to that. So I just had to go on that little soapbox. I've been thinking a lot about altcoins. I've been thinking a lot about where we are in the markets and how low the sentiment is. I mean, I think the fear and greed index, where we
are banned.
Jesus, what happened to that?
You can continue.
Okay. Fear and greed's at 50 right now. This is insane. So we're toiling around building a shelf for Bitcoin above $100,000. Finally having the good grounding, the good footing to actually see that $115,000, $120,000 push. And fear and greed is completely neutral. People are not bullish. They're not bearish on the market. They are numb. The market makers have people asleep. That is literally their job. Now, where altcoins sit, Ethereum is essentially magnetized to this $2,400 level. And Ethereum, in my opinion, like, it's shown when Ethereum started moving against Bitcoin in terms of ETH to Bitcoin dominance, alts started to really run for a short amount of time. Now what we see is Ethereum, essentially, it is building a shelf similar to that of Bitcoin in the $100,000 range, much lower. But I think that what we're seeing here is just a massive, massive washout, a pause to the market, and the calm before the storm. I really do. I still think that there's going to be good movement in ETH. It's just we have to be patient enough to experience it. We're up against literal multi-billionaires trading algorithms when we're looking at this stuff. So if we think that we're going to outtrade BlackRock with just this copy and paste 4-year cycle plan, I think we got another thing coming for us. But it is important to pay attention to the altcoin markets and kind of the ones that bleed the most. Solana, the most blood there. It's just insult to injury. Jesus, they're right around the corner from the ETF going live. And Solana is down 6% just about right now. Absolutely crazy. Pepe, big pullback. Chainlink's sitting here like it's starting to get magnetized to $13. $13 is trying to kind of turn into strong support for Chainlink. I will hop on over. We're going to analyze a good portion of my own bag here on Chainlink, because it is an altcoin. I still retain high conviction in it. I still know that it has the partnerships that I look for out of a large hold altcoin. Still a set of higher lows. I do want to pull this up on TradingView, because actually, now that I'm getting this vibe of what $13 really is turning into for Chainlink, because previously it was resistance in this this 2024 timeframe. It was very, very tough to break resistance, support again there, support, short-term support, then resistance, and then recently been back and forth. We might be trying to actually build out some strength right here at the $13 level for Chainlink, which is something for me to start thinking about, because I know in my heart of hearts we're getting a month or two away from those Federal Reserve interest rate cuts. And I think in terms of alt season, I hate to say this, but to map out the time frames and expectations for alts, we do have to look at federal interest rates and the expectation for cut. Federal rate cut, CME. Let's go to this website and check out. Last we checked, there was a likelihood of three rate cuts on the outlook here. So we got 29 days until the FOMC meeting. And this is where they actually announced the Fed rate cuts. Now let's go into, see if we can get the actual data. Sure, I'll accept your cookie. Because off the top of my head, I know we're looking at the likelihood of 3 rate cuts after the month of July. So we're seeing if I can get this up. Let's see if it pulls up. I'm assuming it's the same. I don't think it's going to pull it for me right now. I'm assuming it's the same. Chat, if you can, go. Oh, here we go. Here we go. All right. So 80% likelihood things stay the same for July still, even with all that hopium. And now we go to September. All right. So September looks very probable for a rate cut. You have a 75% likelihood of a rate cut in September as things sit right now. That's actually moving up and up. Now, November, let's have a look at, or this is October rather. Another rate cut is likely. It's got the 57% ratio for a rate cut being a yes. Again, a 25 base point cut. And then December, We're assuming continues. Okay, yes. So December, so we're seeing the likelihood of rate cuts in December to a 50% ratio, October right around a 60%, and then September at a 75% ratio. So we are looking pretty likely for at least 2 rate cuts. Unfortunately, we want to be in altcoin land and we'd be like, no, my altcoin's changing the world, and that's when it's going to pump and have this big run against Bitcoin. It's not. That's not reality. It's as things sit right now, risk appetites aren't going to come back into the market in a big way until we see continued outlook for rate cuts and the rate cuts actually start going in. I know it's aggravating, but this is a pretty concise time frame we're looking at, is where the rate cuts start in September, and then we start to see that kick over. Now we could get lucky. I can acknowledge this. We could get lucky and we could see some sort of big shift in monetary tone from Jerome Powell. But from the sound of Jerome Powell's conversation this morning, just reiterating, yes, we're slightly starting to look at rate cuts at the end of the year. July, still not likely for that rate cut. That's where things sit. I wish I could change it, and risk appetites were going nuts, and my bags of spot altcoins were going to the moon. But I have to acknowledge the reality that we have not even seen a blow off top for Bitcoin yet. It's literally coiling above $100,000, which should be great for everyone to understand that trillions of dollars is now finding support. $2 trillion in market cap for Bitcoin is working on finding support at that level. Think about the implications of Bitcoin finding that support at the $2 trillion level and then breaking up to 3-4 trillion. Then you get that fever pitch moment where, retail and, longer term, even larger investors start taking the second, third, fourth, fifth largest cryptocurrencies very, very seriously. And that's where you start to see the small market caps in these projects that do things that are connected to Bitcoin. They do things that are connected to Ethereum. They do real world problem solving. They do fix things, but people don't really understand that yet. We're still at that moment where, the internet was called a fad. People were making fun of it on Oprah. They would go on mainstream television. They would mock it. We are in that moment right now. And it should really, really make you sit back and be like, holy shit, we got so much higher to go. If they're sitting here still asleep to Bitcoin at $100,000, just imagine the fever pitch that's going to come when they realize, holy God, it was 1/4 of my house in value. Now it's worth half of the house's value. Are you kidding me? That's where things go nuts. So I really think that is something to really absorb as we're going into the summer. And, the later part of the year, you're going to run into distractions of vacation. Your family's got to go this place and the next place and all the craziness that comes with the holidays. But over this holiday time frame, there's going to be multiple rate cuts coming into the market. There's going to be really, really exciting times for alts that are currently down bad. The altcoin sector has not been having fun. And just to kind of reemphasize, until I see those rate cuts that we're looking for in September, I can basically use a stop loss and short every overnight gigantic pump that happens to altcoins. I can basically look around for a short to previous spots of support. That's what I can do. Crypto Zero. Is that what I am? Is that really what I am? I just wanted people to have stronger conviction ability. If you're buying an altcoin because you think it's going to fix a real world problem, expect it to take some time to actually get in there, get its elbows all dirty and greasy, and actually start getting to work fixing the problem. We talk about real world assets can represent our house note. Sure. We could do all these things on the DMV too, but it's about the current system being okay with someone else coming out and taking control of it. Druth makes his crypto stuff look easy. It's not crypto. I've just been doing this a long time. And, eventually you'll get into that zone where you realize that these prices move in waves. is the wave generally up or is the wave generally down, and then just learning to take those profits along the way. So, I mean, it is my livelihood in crypto, in trading crypto, working with Hit Network, and a huge sponsorship. Speaking of livelihood, we have great partners on this channel that I'm really blessed to be able to work with. If you don't have a cold storage device, we have a link for Arculus, which is the easiest cold storage device on the planet to use. Use code BASE20. You can get 20% off of it. Also, you can take advantage of Bitcoin IRA and the tax incentives within an IRA environment. Make sure to click our link in the description, give them a call, and tell them that the basement sent you guys. We work really hard for you every single day. And you know what? Holding the most volatile asset class on the planet is not easy. It is also exponentially more difficult if you are publicly trading the most volatile asset class on the planet. And make no mistake, that is exactly what I'm doing. I'm giving you guys my honest opinion every single day about where I think the markets are going, up or down. I put my I put my money where my mouth is every single day, on these things, and it goes well. Oh my God. Oh my God. Slim Cheeses. God bless. God bless that moment, right? What a moment in time. So, and we're in a moment in time in altcoins. I just kind of go on this rant because yes, things are difficult right now. Yes, Bitcoin dominance is jackknifing to the sky, and it seems like nothing else exists in crypto other than Bitcoin. It really is not the case. We are not in the hyper speculative season right now. If I have one of my trades in that morning where that hyper speculative few months does begin, that is the ultimate. That's the fish and tail, having a trade in and being in position for that type of movement. And then when I do see the Pi cycle top indicator start to flash, when I see things become, oversold, which honestly at the rate of expansion for Bitcoin looks like we have some time until that comes. When those moving averages do cross, then I'll be looking in aggregate for shorts. But, until that time comes, we're still here having fun. And, these altcoins, they're probably going to have more hyper parabolic exciting tweets come out about ETFs this week, because we have Bloomberg coming out and reporting that the odds of a XRP ETF, a Solana ETF, and a Litecoin ETF are sitting at a 95% success expectation right now. So the markets are expecting that an XRP, Solana, and Litecoin ETF are right around the corner. And now, we're at this point. It's like we want to be at this mindset where, we don't rely on Wall Street to pump our bags. But honestly, seeing this is coming down the road, imagining Bloomberg coming out with the tweet that they just approved a XRP, a Solana, and a Litecoin LTC ETF is probably going to at least give a momentary pump to the markets. I would not be surprised by it in the least bit. Again, we reported on this right as we went live. The Senate Republicans already pushed forward this act. It's just more spending, Isaac. This is why we have to lean into crypto so hard, is because there is no stop to this printing machine. It's just every 4 years you get sold the idea that they're going to come in and fix it. It never happens. It never happens. Do you think it'll happen in your lifetime, Isaac?
In my lifetime? Yeah. It'll happen in my lifetime, but no time here soon.
Yeah.
It'll be a couple decades, in my opinion, before that even comes into fruition.
Your expectations aren't too high, but you're saying there's a chance.
There's a chance, not a very high one.
Yeah.
It might be one on like 80, but who knows?
Yeah. Let's see what the smaller alts. Plume is trying to come back up, so that's good to see. Plume is trying to come back up and hit that 9-cent mark. Buy on that was like 8.5 cents. Moonwell not looking too bad, up 5%. XRP 2.19. A lot of larger ones. Constellation about 3.2 cents right now. No like crazy moves. I am in general pretty happy that Aerodrome is still holding at above the 70-cent mark. That is something we needed to see happen. 70-cent mark basically, is kind of the lower spot of this shelf that Aerodrome has just tried to start building for itself. So If Aerodrome can retain this above 70-cent mark, you can see like right at 70 cents is where the red and the green kind of change up happens on the year, where you're either in profit or not in profit. The red, not in profit if you bought exactly a year ago. If you bought exactly a year ago, you bought in at 70 cents flat. So that's a very, very key thing to watch right now. Aerodrome actually doesn't look too bad. Doesn't look too bad. Isaac, I think we honestly, just because, do you still hold this graphene stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really do anything with it. It's not really, there's not a purpose of selling it. Then that's not get like what, $15 at this point.
Yeah.
So I just kind of hold it for the memes now.
Oh god.
Yeah.
For the culture?
I don't really care. Yeah, for the culture, I'll hold it. And then when I pumped up $3 billion market cap, I'm gonna laugh in your faces.
All right, God bless it. You know,
It'll never
that's how
happen.
you gotta handle it. That's how you gotta handle it. The biggest winners here today, scary enough, in the top 100, they're coming out to be like Pax Gold, which is the gold price. And then Tether Gold, Kea, XDC, and Tron. Kind of insane to see there's no real love coming right now. What is Bitcoin dominance really looking like? Because God, things are just looking, every time like Bitcoin starts to run up, these alts start to like try to catch up, and then Bitcoin will take like the slightest little pullback and they'll just all just crash back down, crash out. Bitcoin dominance looking strong right now. Bitcoin dominance still doing this damn hockey stick movement to the upside, looking very, very bullish. I really am not wanting to see this go to the 70-cent mark. Hopefully it runs out of gas here, but honestly, like the money flow keeps moving up. The ETFs, you know, this whole ETF control, it's just like this slow, maddening grind up in terms of money flow, institutional, you know, the institutions are lining their pockets. Miners are at the point where they're scared to sell. You got an old school Chinese whale coming in here and dumping the price on Bitcoin, but in general, the dominance is just looking absolutely thick to the upside. Absolutely crazy. I do want to look at another one. You know, that Mamo agent on base, has been on my mind. And we looked at Marinade yesterday as well. Marinade we should probably check into. Mamo, here it is. It's at 5.3 cents. Looking to calm down just a touch. It's got an old school. So this shelf of about 3.5 cents up to where it's at right now. Something to watch on Mamo for potential entry spots on it. I don't want to give up on AI plays in general, but I really like the ins that the builders within Coinbase get in terms of regulatory clarity. Obviously, Moonwell has insane backroom deal clarity. You know, I mean, they've been able to work it out. And it's not necessarily meant to be said in a nefarious way, but they work on Coinbase's side of the aisle. And Coinbase is getting the red carpet rolled out to it by U.S. markets. So this is something that I might get a little bit of exposure to, this Mamo AI agent. You know, there's something to be said for, I feel a lot cozier because I did consolidate, as Patton's talking about. But Moonwell is definitely one of my holds. Plume, decent. The other ones are still taking pullbacks here. Morpho at $1.29. I'm really glad my entry point was lowered like it was on that pullback to Morpho. You know, for people that are, you know, because the altcoin graphs, they're enticing, right? If they even get that, if someone sneezes in a speculative manner on these smaller alts, they really, really start moving. So stacking at low levels on projects with real use, like Morpho is in the Coinbase app. It's the avenue of how you get USDC by taking loans out against your Bitcoin that you're still holding. So, you know, I got to be really careful about what altcoins I'm opening my heart to, which is why you see me being very, very concise about these types of things, because I don't want a bunch of people, you know, getting wrecked on these hyper speculative assets when we could just trade for Tether and buy Bitcoin. But if we must, which I do must, Marinade is on my mind. Marinade is on my mind. Solana's pullback. If you notice this, Isaac, Solana's pullback really didn't affect Marinade that bad.
No, not at
I
all.
mean, this is the 7-day, and it's came up to these 15-cent spots a few times. I almost want to actually start trading this. Look at this. Look at this range it's building up. It's really, really clear range. Yeah, I'm actually starting to get. I want to bolster up my AI and Solana auxiliary holdings again. Because I'm so solid on base ecosystem plays just within the altcoin sector. Obviously, the constant goal I wake up with is more Bitcoin. But that's how I'm approaching this. It's like the wins, like the easy thing for me to do is just to buy Bitcoin with it, and then maybe I'll take like 20% of the newly minted tether and go in and speculate on these smaller alts that I feel like are pretty good. I want to see this too. We got next Pengu. Pengu's not looking horrible. I saw Pengu was making some moves. Let's go look at Pengu right now, because I know they got the love from Wall Street. They're getting love from Wall Street. Pengu is getting love. All right, so
I have this
it is
pick on Solana too. It's called.
You are banned.
What happened? I'm stuck on the old chats here. What happened on the new chats?
That was just Big Tip Shark.
Oh, okay.
Run his funny little mouth of his.
Good of him. Good of him. So all time, Pengu's got a lot of ground it needs to make up. A lot of ground. It is running right now into this kind of a interest zone. Pengu running into this interest zone. You're going to see some chop here. It's trying to set a series of higher lows, though. See, this is where I get awkward about it, though. It's already $1 billion market cap. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm
a meme coin.
If I'm speculating on a meme coin, I want it to have a lower market cap than that. I'm a little crazy. If I'm going in there knowing there's like hyper risk, I want hyper reward. You know what I'm saying? How's the trade doing? We're doing just fine. Bouncing off this little shelf here. We'll see about it. It's a little tiny play, couple G's. We'll see if she rolls up. If we could tap the previous high range, huge. As I always say, I'll never have to work again, right? Every trade. You never know if that's a trade. Honestly, yeah, I'm looking at this. This is looking pretty damn good. Here's the 4-hour. And this is something that's about to happen on the Bitcoin chart is this is the VWAP trigger and the momentum wave just about to the -60. Now, when you have a environment like this with a nice clean trigger showing before the momentum wave, I feel like these are some of the more powerful signals. You can see the money flow is jackknifing to the upside within this 4-hour time set of Bitcoin. So actually, I mean, seeing the RSI, or not the RSI, but the MACD rather, reset on the 4-hour, this is giving me really good confluence. So that was the reset button that we needed on Bitcoin. So we'll see if this holds. This entry point is slightly above the POC that I was hoping for, the 105.5 spot, but it's close enough. It's about 105.9. Holding up right now. This might be the one. Isaac, you just never know.
You never know.
You never
know which trade that you pull the trigger on could be your best.
That's right, man. That's right.
That's very true.
Always searching to make that cheddar, baby. Now, if you are in these markets, if you are trading actively, please do make a point to get into our Discover Investments Group Discord. Trading side completely free. All you have to do is get your user ID over for LBank or Blowfin. And I do emphasize the importance of DeFi, what Veteran Crypto is doing within our team at DeFi Crypto and Airdrops. Another great way to constantly be making money in this market, find ways to make money in this market actively every single day. Always work on increasing that bag of Bitcoin. And I think our generation, our bloodline is going to be changed forever. If we can stay focused over the next 5 years in this industry, we are embarking on the most disruptive time frame our monetary policy has seen since the creation of the Federal Reserve. We're seeing the moments that I really could have only dreamed of last bull market, wishing for regulatory clarity, all these things that happen. They're happening right now. It's just about being steadfast enough to experience that upside. If you're not, you can play easier markets. There's much easier markets to play to get, 2-5% every couple months. You can play it very, very simply if you have a lot of, capital that you basically just want to protect. Me, I'm punching up. I got, 4 kids, a beautiful wife, and I got to make a lot of cash to keep them fed organic food here. So I'm fighting hard on the charts every single day to make that stack bigger. I love and appreciate every single one of you out there. Someone else is asking for the 6 hour, how the 6 hour looks on Bitcoin. Here is the 6 hour, same general POC shining at 105.5. 6 hour, it's got a little bit more room seemingly that it would, but I'm a little bit more intrigued to see if we can actually round out this and start bouncing off the top end of this volume node on the 6 hour and on the daily. Daily coming, and it looks like it wants to give up steam, but honestly, man, like building support above these 104 levels. And I do see some people highlighting for a 104 washout on liquidity. Let's go over to liquidity and check this out. Bam. I can see where he's looking at that there. It's about 104.9. There's a little bit below us. Quite a bit more above us, though, in the shorter time frames. Quite a bit more above us in the shorter time frames. So I'm gonna basically be targeting these washouts. In this trade with the size it is, I'd be well satisfied if they hit 107. But you know what? It is it's just something I got to be actively doing. I got to be actively monitoring it, and that's why it's really nice to have Josh, DZ, everyone, Kelly, all in one spot on the Discover Investments Group Discord. Get in there. I'm a simple man. I give you my levels I'm looking at when I get into the trade, and just constantly give outlooks on where we're thinking the market's going to go at market open and all the way up to the middle of the night. Chinese whale washouts at 3 a.m. on exchanges. So stay in tune for that. Isaac, are you in the trade? Are you in a trade right now,
I'm
Isaac?
not in any trade because if y'all know, I did get liquidated my last trade. So
That's
I currently have
true.
not refilled the bag, but I will be
tuition.
refilling shortly.
Okay.
My own tuition. So
all right, I'm gonna get you some tuition money here. We're gonna send.
It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be huge.
It's gonna be huge. So huge. I'll never have to work again. It's gonna be beautiful.
Well, we'll see if
Maybe
this
use that money
ends
to
up.
invest in a new camera that focuses. Jesus Christ.
What, yours or mine?
Okay, there it goes. Mine.
My camera's pretty good. And
your camera is great.
I'm using
you
like
have a webcam.
$30, yeah, it's like a $30 webcam. It's terrible.
I'm using the FX3. It's like a $4,000 camera and it can't focus on my fucking face.
Yeah.
But you know.
All right, guys. Well, we're gonna go check out the rest of this news. Stay posted for big moments coming this week. We have a lot of things going down on the Senate with this big, beautiful bill. One crazy Truth Social tweet could change this market structure in the blink of an eye. So just lock in. Okay. It's going to be a hectic week. Love and appreciate every single one of you out there. We're going to hop in. I'm going to go hang out with the family now and set up at the next Airbnb. I'll see you guys soon.